This is your punk hunk and weirdo hero on Beyond Repair.
For all of us, I think, that have spent the time in the business, we have our highlights. Like, there's moments that you'll never, like, you cherish, you'll never forget. You wouldn't be able to erase from your mind if you get hit with another chair. Right? Yeah, and then, like, the highlights and the lowlights. Like, obviously, there's some moments that we don't want to remember, but we do.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, we can start, I guess, with... I've been like, really fortunate enough to have like lots of highlights and stuff like that, and just been in the right place at the right time and stuff like that. I would say that my #1 moment would have probably been when I got to be in the ring with my hero Mick Foley, and he was a special guest commissioner for an hour. He was like a special guest referee for a match, basically. Right. Enforcer, that's what the words we were looking for is. So I knew he was being brought into PWA, and Kurt Sorokin, who was running PWA at the time, told me about this, and I told Kurt and said, like, you know, he's my favorite wrestler. And he's like, well, we're going to use him in the main event. You're a little bit lower down the card. And I'm like, Kurt, I've never pulled this card before, but I'm willing to pull it now. I won't be your friend anymore if you don't have Mick Foley be in my match. Yeah. So I was lucky enough to get in the ring with Mick Foley, and we got to do the Cactus Jack dance, and
nice.
Yeah, it blew my mind. And he was the sweetest man I've ever met. So,
I've heard he's super good guy.
Yeah, he's super cool. So it's one of those situations where actually meeting your hero lives up to everything you've hoped it would be, and yeah, that's so rare.
So many times it's exactly the opposite.
Yeah, you always hear about like being let down by people or whatever, and Mick Foley's just as cool as they come. So that would have been my highlight, and that was also my last match with PWA before I was supposed to go on to WWE, which I signed a developmental contract with. So that was like that night culminated into all these screaming fans cheering, "Thank you, Randy." Right. I did like a very heartfelt speech in front of my hero, in front of all my fans, nice. And then I failed a drug test.
Fuck.
Yeah. So at the time, they had a thing where it was a fine if you were caught with some marijuana in your system.
Right.
And so I'm like, well, you know, I'm not going to be able to really. I don't have a lot of money, but I'm nervous, man. So like I'm like I can handle one fine. I can handle one fine. So I thought in my head, you know, I can fail this one time. So I go down. I failed the drug test. Well, first they asked me if I had marijuana. Was gonna find any drugs in my system. I told them they'd find marijuana. Mm-hmm. They told me that was fine. That was a fine, but to not do it, obviously. Right. But basically just a slap on the wrist. I go down, fail my drug test. Get a call back saying we're not going to offer you the contract because we found marijuana in your system. They had just changed their policy 3 weeks prior because of an incident with a wrestler. Wow. So who had been fined and was obviously not taking it seriously at all. So they decided, you know, we're going to up the fine. We're going to make this a bigger deal. So there I was, thought I had everything, you know, everything I've always wanted right at my fingertips, and it was. You know what I mean? I'm not 300 pounds. I'm not a giant, I'm not a spot monkey. I'm not a fucking giant gorilla. You know what I mean? So like for me to have this opportunity was a rarity. You know what I mean? They gave it to me on personality, on my promos and stuff like that. Yeah, so for me to have that taken away from me, or for me to fuck it up, you know what I mean? I don't even look at it as them fucking me over. I fuck myself over, you know what I mean? So that was my low moment, man. That was really rough, and still something I think about all the time. You know what I mean? It's not something you get over, like you said. I'm hoping for that chair shot one day that kind of knocks it out of my head, and I don't remember anything about it. So that was 6 years ago, and I had to make the decision whether I was going to come back after that. You know what I mean? Like I said, I did my tour of saying goodbye to my local promotions and thanking everyone, and got all the "Thank you, Randy" chants, and then like, "Your local hero's off to go make it," and did newspaper articles and all that, and then kind of like, yeah, had to suck up my pride and go back 2 weeks later and, you know, decide whether I was going to stick with wrestling or if I was going to let that be the end of my career. So, and like I said, passion is what it is. It burns deep, you know what I mean? So that's how you know you love something, is that you let it break your heart and come back to it.
Exactly.
So that would be, I'd say, my high and low, and it was all within 3 months of each other. So yeah.